Welcome to the Latin Wealth Podcast, a podcast dedicated to educating the Latino community about entrepreneurship, investing, and business.
What's going on, Latin Wealth family? Welcome to another episode to Wealth Wednesday. Super excited about today's episode. We got a couple really good topics we're going to dive into. First off, we're going to be diving into Daddy Yankee. We're going to be looking at a company who just recently acquired Daddy Yankee's music catalog for $217 million. We're going to be diving into which company did that, why they did it, and was that a good move on Daddy Yankee's part? We're going to be diving into that. Also, going to be diving into presidential nominee Vice President Harris. If you guys didn't know, just earlier this month, she promised $100 million, or no, I shouldn't say $100 million, a $1 million forgivable loan for Black entrepreneurs. And just recently, she expanded that forgivable loan proposal to Latino entrepreneurs as well recently. So we're going to be diving into that. Very excited about today's episode because we got Jeremiah back in the building. I know he's out in Puerto Rico. Definitely want to get his thoughts on, the time that he's had out there, what he's been learning and seeing and whatnot. But yeah, welcome back, Jeremiah, back to Wealth Wednesday. How you feeling? How you doing? Last time I seen you was out here in Dallas, and you still in Puerto Rico. Hopefully you're enjoying it out there.
It's always great whenever you're coming home to just, take in the full sight. The saddest part is I leave tomorrow, going back to California. No shade to Californians, but I hate your state. But anyway, that's beside the point. Chris always you always taking dads in my state. But no, man, it's been a phenomenal time out here. Get into that in a second, but I'm just happy to be back. It's been a great trip. We'll get into that, but I'm happy to be here, man. I hate missing.
Yeah, 100%. It's funny you mentioned taking jabs at my state. We're going to be taking a lot more jabs over the next couple of weeks as the Dodgers and Yankees. You know what I'm saying? We might not be friends after this. I'll be honest. I don't know what's going to happen. It's going to be a lot of jabs thrown. But yeah.
It's going to be a good series, man. It's going to be a good series. I'm going to say like this, man, the best team win. The Battle of the Coast, East-West Coast classic series. So at the end of it, hopefully my Yankees win that tail. But if they don't, I'll bow down and say, Dodgers are a better team. And that hat is fire, by the way. Chris, that hat is fire.
I just got this. I had to throw it on because I know you're still in PR. I got this from, shout out to, what is it, Hat Club. I had to pick it up. So dope. We're going to be diving into more topics about Puerto Rico today, specifically about Daddy Yankee. As we mentioned earlier, the musical giant company Concord said on Friday that it has acquired parts of the musical publishing and recorded music catalog at reggaeton superstar Daddy Yankee. This deal encompasses certain rights to Daddy Yankee songs, including Despacito and Gasolina, which are absolute classics. The deal also includes certain name, image, and likeness rights, according to a press release from Concord. And again, Concord is the name of the company that made this purchase. A little bit more information about this deal. Concord has recently declined to comment on the price. However, earlier this month, in a report about Concord's asset-backed security, an agency wrote that Concord acquired the catalog of a highly successful Latin music artist and songwriter, which was valued at $217 million. Again, that was a company that did some research earlier on in the month, and they revealed those numbers. And it was also revealed recently that it was ultimately Daddy Yankee. A couple more interesting facts. Daddy Yankee sold this portion of his catalog to a fund back in the day, to a source that was not to be named. That fund sold the asset to Concord, which is the company that ultimately bought $217 million worth of his catalog. What else? So I think there was also a report that came out in July that Daddy Yankee still owns part of his publishing catalog, which is also administered by Sony Music and by Spirit Music. So it's kind of unsure if he sold everything or if he still owns a portion of it. Nonetheless, $217 million sold. Some of his biggest records are also sold off to this music giant Concord. Um, yeah, should let me hear your thoughts about it. I do have some more information about the company, but I want to know your thoughts about this, Jeremiah. I know I texted to you and you had a couple of choice words about Daddy Yankee, but let's talk about it.
I think my choice words, I mean, to be super clear and honest, is that was stupid. Um, and the people, well, you don't know, and all that. I'm like, yeah, but at the end of the day, I don't know, I don't know who's around these artists, and I don't know if people are giving them the full extent. Now, for me to say Daddy Yankee doesn't know the impact that his songs have had, Gasolina is probably out of that list, obviously, right? The most
Yeah,
impactful.
yeah.
It is the first reggaeton song to cross over, make blah blah, blah, right? All this, it opened up the lane for it. But Despacito is the most, I think maybe Bad Bunny is crossing, it's taking that away now, but it was the most viewed song. Maybe Bad Bunny has the most views in total, right, for his total catalog. But I know Despacito was like billions of views. It was a huge song. So I just had those words because I guess I'm trying to figure out who's giving the counsel to these artists. And if you're fully understanding and grasping what you could do with your catalog and how much money your catalog actually makes, because if you're going to sell it, I wasn't so upset with him selling it because we talked about, or I text you and I said, well, he's gone Christian now, so he's probably kind of leave the music behind, just wants to make some money off of it and kind of go about his business, and that's cool. I respect that. But it was the number. 217 million is a small number for billions of views, for songs that are going to be played for generations, for songs that have molded two generations now, going on 3 generations, right? Gasolina is almost 30 years old now. So to shape
That's crazy.
2 to 3 generations and the music is still playing,
Yeah,
that's a low number.
yeah.
A billion, cool, especially for the most played song. That makes sense, but 217 million seems like a small number to me. And obviously you're like, that's a small number. And I say that in relativity to just the market and media right now and people's contracts and, the way things move now, that seems like a small number.
So you said a couple interesting things. First off, you mentioned the views that Despacito was getting. Now, if you go on YouTube, there's probably like 7 different versions, whether it's with Justin Bieber or
Uh-huh.
the video with the lyrics and whatnot, just different versions of the song. 61 million, 56 million, 36 million, 12 million, but the official video 8.5 billion views.
8.5 billion views. And how do they pay you, right? They pay you, what is it, is it 100,000 or above 1 million? I can't remember which way they changed
Yeah.
the scale
Mm-hmm.
for YouTube, but either way it goes,
Either
they're
way.
paid handsomely. Every time that song's played, every time that video is played, and it's still on rotation to this
Sure.
day. And so I don't know. That's weird to me. The idea, I do understand he's trying to leave it behind, but I just I don't know if people are giving good counsel as to like, hey, this is actually worth this. It's
Yeah.
like the Beatles selling their catalog, right? Like there's certain things that you just don't sell. Like the
Right.
estate of Michael Jackson still owns his music, right? Because
Mm-hmm.
Mike owned like half a Sony. Like, so you don't sell certain things. There's just certain pieces of work that you don't sell because they're priceless. To me, Gasolina was one of those, and then Despacito had a number, but it would be a much larger number.
Right.
But hey,
You know what? I try to play when you texted me that I was like, okay, on this episode, I need to play God's advocate. I'm not gonna use the other word. And try
yeah,
to
yeah,
like, come up with a reasoning why he would do it. Obviously, like you said, we don't know his personal finances or what he's going through. That's fair.
sure,
But
sure.
it's hard for me to disagree with you because Daddy Yankee's farewell tour in 2022
Yep.
brought in $198 million. Now, to be fair, all of that did not go directly to him. You got to pay the team and whatnot, the
Sure.
venues.
Sure.
But $198 million, I don't know what the profit is on that. You do that a couple times and
It's well over 100 million.
yeah,
It's
it's
well
well
over
over
100 million
100
to Daddy
million and
Yankee.
you're
Yeah.
closing on 217. And my thing about the number 217, I think I'm curious to know what other artists feel about this number because it's almost like sports. When
For
a
sure.
big basketball player that has the same position, they get a contract, that's now the standard, that's the comp, right? People are gonna want something similar. Now, if you set the bar low,
Okay.
217, and compared to another legend, they're gonna be like, "Whoa, Daddy Yankee just got 217. I can't get more than that."
Correct. And I feel like, so if we're going to make that comparison, because in relativity, people may look at this and if you're United States bound only and you just listen to rap, don't really write, I'll give you an equivalent. Daddy Yankee's the Jay-Z to reggaeton.
Mhm.
You have to, this is something that you kind of got on it, right? So you wouldn't expect Hov to sell his, right? Right. Like it wouldn't make sense, right? And so that's what I'm trying to tell you. In our world, that's how it is. And it's like, it's kind of strange. I mean, even if you're looking at an equivalent on the rap side, what did Q and Coach sell QC's catalog, that
Mhm.
had Migos and all the people that were in that
Yeah.
quality control music? What did they sell it for? And then Bieber sold his for what, 220 million?
Mm.
I think something like that. And he has a much shorter career than Daddy Yankee. And so it's just
Right.
kind of, I don't know. It's puzzling to a fact. There has to be something else that's deeper than that. I think that there's something maybe linked to it. There's some type of stock options, or there's something, because
Mhm.
Daddy Yankee's been a very studious and shrewd businessman. He's
Mhm.
very much about his business, and he's always been on top of his business and making money. He hasn't made any missteps with calculations of money on tours and contracts and things like that. They got his face all over Puerto Rico here. He's literally
Mhm.
the face of Puerto Rico. He's all over. And I'm just trying to see, what was that thought process like. There has to be something more. It made me interested to try to dig and see what I could
Yeah.
find, um, to find out what else he was getting, because those
Yeah.
numbers it's just a small number. And it does
It
set the
is.
bar. So if Don Omar decides that he's gonna sell his, that's the top, right?
Mhm.
And so I don't know, you got to think about that too. I wonder if Daddy
Right.
Yankee thought about it.
Right.
Like, dang, I'm setting the bar for everyone
That's
else
what I'm
because I
saying.
am the top person ever, right? Doesn't matter. I know Bad Bunny's the biggest artist ever,
Right.
but Bad Bunny will tell you, like, I look up to this person. So it's like,
Mhm.
I don't know, man. It's tough.
It's tough.
And
It's
it's hard to
definitely
play
tough.
guys advocate on that. That's definitely good.
Yeah, 100%. Now, a little bit about this company, Concord. I mean, I was digging around, and so the CEO is Bob Valentine, and they said, generally speaking, they like to generate 5 to 15% more revenue from the asset as they acquired it from the previous owner. So again, what they plan on doing, they plan on generating 5 to 15% more using different distribution, film, commercial, marketing. 15 per,
Commercials, yeah.
commercial more is in what Daddy Yankee was able to do. Now this blew my mind. I literally read this like 7 times. I couldn't believe this. The company has acquired over 1.3 million songs. That's insane. So they own the Latin label Fania Records. As of
Wow.
2023, according to a CEO, it derived 85% of its revenue from catalog rather than newly developed music. 85% over 1.3 million songs owned.
And if they own Fania, what you're saying is, so what they've done now is they've cornered the entire Puerto Rican music history, because Fania, All
Right.
Stars, that's Celia Cruz from Cuba, that's Hector
Yeah.
Lavoe, that's
Yeah.
all of Willie Colon. These
Willie
are all like
Colon.
the salsa,
Yep.
the salsa greats, Puente. So these
Hmm.
are all the salsa greats. And so what you've done is essentially cornered the market on Puerto
Corner the
Rican music
market.
history. Uh, you got salsa and you got the greatest person ever in reggaeton. It's like, that's I mean, shouts out to them. It's good business. I I don't understand it, but it's good business, man. I guess it's like Sony has rock and roll cornered, right? Because they own, you know,
Yeah,
pieces of
yeah.
Michaels, they own the Beatles. So yeah, it's crazy. That's a lot of songs.
Man, I literally could not believe that when I had to get my wife over here and make sure I was reading that right because 1.3 million songs, they're clearly in the business just to acquire assets, acquire assets.
And that opens up the lane and the thought process for people coming into the market that I don't even have to make music or sign new acts. I could
Right,
just go and acquire old
right.
catalogs and then rerun them through commercials and get their placements in movies and do all these things. Maybe it's a movie made about that time. And so I
Yeah,
mean, it kind of
yeah.
opens up a whole new, world from people for
No, for
sure.
sure. And clearly, they said 85% of its revenue came from catalog rather than newly developed music. That just goes to show how hard it is to find that Daddy Yankee for them to blow up, right? They rather just go get the talent that's already doing well or that has done well and make money off of that.
Why do you think? Why do you think the artists? So Fania, that's different. Most of those artists have passed.
Right.
They're from 40, 50 years ago, so that's different. This is posthumous purchase and things like that. But why do you think artists like Daddy Yankee and these bigger artists, why don't they see the value in themselves? Why do you think it's so easy to just give someone some money and give up your IP, right? Your intellectual property, which is your brain and your music and your art. Why is
Yeah.
that so easy? And I don't see it happening very much in other cultures. I see it
Mm,
happening in rap and
hmm
reggaeton and Latin music. That's where I
hmm
see it mostly happen.
Yeah. No, that's the $1 million, that's the $217 million question right
It's
there.
one of the $17 million question. Yeah.
Because I don't know either. It's incredible. Um, But what else is incredible and very interesting? Presidential nominee Vice President Kamala Harris expand forgivable loan proposals to Latino entrepreneurs. Now, we always have to say this disclaimer when we come on here, we talk about politics. We are not bashing anybody. We're not left or right on here. We're just giving you the information. You take it, run with it, do what you want with it. We don't care. Vice President Kamala Harris announced Tuesday that Latino men will be eligible for a forgivable loan program aimed at small businesses under her administration. The vice president pledged on social media to help those men and their family to grow small businesses with a forgivable loan up to $20,000. As I mentioned earlier in the episode,
So
Harris mentioned that Black entrepreneurs will get the same proposal, and she's aimed to provide up to $1 million of those loans for Latino men and Black entrepreneurs as well. So, I mean, look, this sounds amazing, sounds great. I hope if she gets elected, this is one of the things that actually goes through. I think this would be a tremendous help for entrepreneurs.
for sure. It's funny because I played God's advocate on this one, and I know what's coming in the background of that is to say that this is a
Right,
discriminatory uh,
right.
basis of lending,
Hmm.
right? And they would say if it was the other way around and it wasn't going to black or brown, you would say, and so I can see that, start to
Hmm.
brew in people's minds. It's amazing how we have to think that way, right? The critical
Hmm.
aspects of it, but the idea within itself, phenomenal idea. I think that she's pulling out all the stops,
She got to.
especially when it comes to college based forgiveness. I mean, she has to, right? She was behind the
Hmm.
eight ball when she started actually campaigning and stuff. And so I think if she can stick to it. Now, needless to say, everyone called Joe Sleepy Joe, and yes, he was. And we've admitted here, he's probably not all there, and he's old, so no disrespect to him, But one thing that the Biden administration did do is they kept their word on the pursuit and the actual passing of some of that college debt.
Hmm.
And so people can say what they want or however, whatever, but that was a goal and they accomplished that goal. Not as
They
much as
did.
they wanted, but they did accomplish it. And I think that's something that needs to be said. And I also think that the focus on education and entrepreneurship here
Mm.
stateside is huge for the Democratic Party, and they should big up that. And I'm sure Barack is coaching her on this, but make sure to focus in on that because that's
Mm.
going to bring a large portion of votes towards, to their side because the opposite party focuses more on big corporations, uh, you know, making sure that the tax cuts stay there for those big corporations, not so much for smaller businesses, entrepreneurs just starting up. And there's more entrepreneurs and small businesses than there are big corporations. And
Yeah.
so, you just got to
Mhm.
think like that. And it seems like they're kind of niche and they're tapping in on. So,
Yeah.
good
No.
looks to them.
Good luck to them. Definitely a good luck. We'll see. We'll keep track of what happens if she is elected and if this is one of the things that goes through. Just another quick update on the Latino WhatsApp channel. There has been some more activity. I just checked today. Nothing too
I saw that.
crazy or groundbreaking. I will say last time we checked, I think there was like 2,000 or 4,000 people. Now there's 28,000 people in there that they could
Yeah.
connect with and send a message to. So that's also very interesting. So yeah, I mean, look, a couple of dope topics we hit on today. Anything else, Jeremiah, before we get out of here and before you start packing up and heading back to
Yeah.
California? And anything, let us
Yeah, I
know. How about
know.
this? Let us know this. Let us know this. What is I know you I think you were with Jason a little bit. What's one thing
Yeah.
that you learned that you learned in Puerto Rico that you immediately want to work on when you get back to the States? Whatever it is, whether it's working on Puerto Rico yourself, whatever it is.
Sure. The one thing I learned is that we have to be active as Boricua, people, Puerto Rican people, no matter where you are on the map. This is something that I need everybody to pay attention to. If you're listening to this podcast, I want you to focus in. I want you to understand something. The talent that we have, that we've taken
Mm,
outside of the island, and even if you're born outside of the island, but you have Puerto Rican blood, you need to come back. If anything, from my week that I've seen here, is that the island needs our talents, all of
mm,
us and our various talents, um, and to focus in on making this island great because we ship out so much money, we ship out so much talent. And if we could just come back and focus in on getting this the way it needs to be, Puerto Rico could get back to where it should be. And if it
mm,
was never there in your mind, then we could help take it to that next level. There's a lot of promise. There's a lot of money that's being allotted for Puerto Rico. All we need is the talent, and we need people to come back
mm,
in and and work together and focus and interlock arms so that we can help to make this bigger. That's what I learned this week is that
mm,
yeah, I'm gonna come and do my part. Jason's gonna do his part. You guys saw Jason on podcast pass,
mm.
and we're interlocking, but it needs to be more, and hopefully there's more effort as we start to grow and continue to push the changes that are necessary for Puerto Rico.
Yeah, 100%. I love that. And I think that's definitely a conversation that we want to continue to have on this platform, even practical steps on how to make that happen, right? I know one person we brought on multiple times is Dean, but maybe bringing somebody on like that from, Puerto Rico or a different country, showing us like how you did it, what that process looks like, right?
Sure.
How you can bring your talent back to your country, to Puerto Rico, wherever it is. Definitely a conversation we'd love to continue to have.
That could be a documentary series, a doc series of going back home or taking your talents back to the motherland or whatever you would call it. But I told you this, we've talked about it. I've already purposed in my mind. Within the next literally 6 months, we'll be back here full time. We'll be focused in on growing everything that we put into place, and this week kind of just kickstarted it for me.
Yeah, 100%. No, that's actually a really good idea. As you guys know, like the different phases of what we're doing with this platform is creating the content, whether it's interviews, Wealth Wednesday, mental health. Phase two is the event, which we just put that on last week. Phase
That's
three
a
is
successful event, by the way.
yeah, 100%, 100%.
Shouts out to you, bro.
Thank you. Shouts out to us. You was there, you was a part of it, you know what I'm saying? And then the third phase to what we want to do is documentation, which that's actually a phenomenal idea. So that the subject, the topic would be a great idea. So I have to make that happen.
Let's get it going.
Yes, sir. All right. With that being said, it's the Latin Wealth family, and we'll catch you guys next week. Peace.
Peace, guys.